The only thing sad about this movie is the fact that no matter how much I tell you how great this is still going to be #1 at the box office this weekend. Hi, my name is Jonathan from Submasters Reviews, and today I will be reviewing The Guest. So, you probably haven't heard of The Guest because it's a small independent film by the makers of You're Next, kind of a cult classic in recent years. It's basically a slasher flick about a bunch of can't really spoil you, a bunch of killers that try to kill a family. And I checked that film out before I watched this, actually a week before I saw this movie. And I wasn't sure what to expect from this because You're Next was an enjoyable film, but it was very overrated in my opinion. The dialogue was absolutely terrible. There were a lot of plot conveniences, but when it really started going, it really showed the movie really showed the director's ability to show a really cool and awesome heroine that can totally kick butt. So I was interested to see what he could do with The Guest, which seemed a little bit smaller in scale this time than the last one did, just because it's a small town and it seemed like it was more focused on one person than like a group of people trying to kill each other. And I am happy to say that this blew away my expectations and is my second favorite movie this year. Alright, so let's move on to the performances. The most notable, hands down, is that of Dan Stevens from Downton Abbey. Now, I haven't watched Downton Abbey, so I can't really say if it's a good show or not or anything, but I had no expectations, but I can say that Dan Stevens blew this out of the water. I mean, this is one of the best performances I've seen in a movie all year, period, and one of the best I've ever seen in kind of a thriller. Basically, what his character is he's very calm, very suave with the ladies, and just has a very confident presence around him. But he has something off about him, and you can sense that from the beginning, and you just know that this guy, if he has to, can kick butt, and that's what I loved about his character so much. Then we have, what's her name? Jeez, I can't name this actress, I'm sorry, but the blonde chick in the movie, she does a very good job as a not a teen actress, but young actress. She does a very good job. I wasn't expecting that. She delivered emotional scenes when it was required of her. Especially her tears were very convincing. The way she talked felt very natural. Just as well as just her presence in general was very good. Now let's move on to the brother in the film of the family. And he was supposed to be your emo, kind of down under the weather guy who's like, people pick on me, and that could have easily been a really annoying thing, but the kid really pulled off a great performance, and you actually felt sorry for him, and it was more realistic because, unlike other movies where you feel that he's such a wimp that he's annoying, you actually feel for this character, and you understand that he doesn't want to hurt anyone, he just wants to be him without being judged, and I think that that actor brought that to the table, and was great. And then we have the final two, I guess, mentionable actors that I can say without spoiling anything, and that's the guy who plays the father and the mother in the family, and they do a very good job. I mean, the father is very comical in a way, not like laugh out loud funny, but just the way he talks and presence, he's very good at delivering funny undertones that made the audience laugh quite a bit. Now, the mother is supposed to be more serious. She's recovering from the death of her son who died in war, and this makes her more susceptible to manipulation, which is conveyed later in the film. And she felt very real. I felt bad for her. I can only imagine if I had a child and he died fighting for my country, and you really felt for that character. Finally, as an overall consensus, the acting was very good, especially for this type of movie. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the script. Now, the thing about the director's first film, You're Next, is that it really had a crappy script. The dialogue was unrealistic, and the characters did things that absolutely made no sense, and was pretty much, it was just setting them up to die. Now, this, on the other hand, is a very different approach. This film has a very complex and realistic script. The writing is very good from beginning to end. There's a lot of work that goes into the dialogue, especially. Like, there were moments where I saw this movie with my stepfather, and Alex, who unfortunately couldn't make it shooting this today. but there was a reference in the movie that he understood, and I was like, hey, well, what was funny about this certain joke? And he's like, oh yeah, this, and this. And it took him a few minutes to explain to me why that was funny, and I'm like, wow, they actually spent the time to write that into the script. And there are very few movies now where you can think of, wow, that was really cool how they set that up, because not a lot of films would have done that. Another thing I want to go over and say is that the script gives excellent character development throughout. This movie is only an hour and a half, and I've learned more from these characters than most movies can tell me in like 2.5 hours, so great props to that. And finally, another awesome job of the script was how well it flowed. I mean, it wasn't very choppy. There weren't any choppy transitions in dialogue or any things written in there just for the convenience of the plot. It just felt like a very good script, and that's something that's very rare in Hollywood these days. Now, one of the last things I want to get into before I give my final score is the directing. The directing in this movie is phenomenal. I mean, this guy knows how to pace a movie, for sure. I mean, the script did a really good job helping with that, but this director really just knew how to bring it all home, because just from shot to shot to shot, he tried to go a little bit more artsy, not very mainstream, but at the same time, it wasn't so much where it's going to completely take out mainstream audiences. Instead, it gives them a taste of something new and blends in mainstream and art house shooting into one. So you're going to see some really long shots that actually mean things, and they have relevance to the story, and it just made the movie really cool and unique and just awesome. Also, I want to go ahead and touch on with this for the directing, because there isn't necessarily an incredible amount of action in this movie, but when there is, it's off the chain, and the director did a fantastic job of directing. I mean, it's no shaky cam, you can see everything clearly, and it's just shot in such a smooth and intense manner that just completely draws you in. I mean, when those scenes happened, not one audience member in my theater said anything, besides the occasional like flinch of something crunching and stuff. It's just so good, which leads me to the last thing I want to touch up on before I go, and that is this the sound of this movie. Number one, the soundtrack is phenomenal. It has this underlying 1980s theme to it, but it's all indie music. So I mean, there's not a whole lot of lyrics to it. All it is just really deep rhythms and vibes and stuff, and it's super cool. The closest thing I can relate to it is the soundtrack of GTA 5. It's like if they were to do the soundtrack of GTA 5 mixed in with The Shining. It's the Shining soundtrack. And it just makes for a very eerie and atmospheric tone that really helps push along the movie. Now, the last thing right here, I promise, is the sound editing. Now, the sound editing in this movie is awesome. Like I said, whenever there was a fight scene going on in the movie, you could really feel the punches, especially like with every break, with every blood splat. Just everything about the sound was just really good. No stock gunshot sounds like in I don't know, No Good Deed, but it was just so nice to see how crisp everything was in this movie. And before I give my final score, I'm just going to give one more quick overview. So this movie is one of the most surprising movies I've ever seen in my life, period, because I had no idea what I was getting into. This movie is going to be a classic, I guarantee you. Just from the great directing, the great writing, the great sound editing, the great script, just everything came together to make one of the best thrillers I've seen in years. And this was greatly helped by the amazing performance of Dan Stevens and the good supporting cast as well, which is why I'm going to go ahead and give The Guest a 4.8 out of 5 stars. The only reason why I'm that 0.2, it's nothing big, but just because me knowing military stuff personally, because of my family background, there's a few things here and there, just one little shot miss action scenes, just little nitpicks like that, with my kid, and that wouldn't happen, or you need to reload, or stuff like that. But besides that, this movie is darn near perfect, and I definitely recommend you see it this weekend. How did you like the review? Did you like it? Do you have any suggestions? Make sure to follow us on Twitter. There'll be a link for that in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. So make sure to see The Guest this weekend, and I know everyone wants to see Maze Runner, but The Guest is so much better. Please make this a box office success. So, my name is Jonathan from Submasters Reviews, and have an excellent day.